Hey guys, so in this video I'm just going to talk about 4 main reasons as to why we get panic attacks. The first one I wanted to talk about is stress. And we know for a fact that if the body is under stress, it just starts to break down and just all kinds of things start to go wrong. I know when I get sick the most, it's when I'm under a lot of stress. And it can happen with panic attacks or anxiety attacks as well. And it's important to remember you don't want to think about if you're feeling stressed out right now, but you want to think about if you've been stressed in the long term. So have you been stressed for the last 6 months? Have you been stressed in the last 12 months? Because it's a bigger period of time you have to think of. And that's how the stress kind of builds up. It builds up over time, it gets a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse, and then it gets to the point where it's so much to handle and you get something like anxiety or panic attacks or anxiety attacks. So that's something to think about. How stressed have you been in the last 6 to 12 months? Because that adds to anxiety and panic attacks. The second thing is genetics. So there's research out there showing that there is a genetic basis of panic attacks. And that just means if your family has it, or your mom, your dad, your grandparents, there's a good chance that you are going to develop it as well. And the important thing to remember is you don't want to freak out and say, oh no, like it's game over, I'm always going to get panic attacks, because there's also a way where our genes interact with the environment. So part of it is genetic, but the other part is environment. So you could say if you have those genetics and you're really, really stressed out all the time, that's going to make it more likely for you to get panic attacks. And if you can just relax all the time and do things that are good for your health, then you can avoid those panic attacks. So that's something to consider as well. The third thing I wanted to talk about is evolution. There's a really, really good book called Angst. And in that book, it talks about how maybe we developed panic and anxiety attacks as an instinct. So when we were living in tribes and we were going about our tribal life, if you got too far away from the tribe, you'd probably die. You'd be cut off from your family, resources, and safety. So we developed this instinct that whenever we got too far away, we just start panicking and feeling really, really uncomfortable, and that'll make us run back to the tribe and back to safety. And now we still have, excuse me, we still have that instinct, but it doesn't serve the same purpose anymore. There's no point in having it, and we have to kind of learn how to fit it in this world that we're living in. That's just another way to think about it. The final thing I wanted to say is something called the vicious cycle. And basically what happens is you feel some kind of sensation in your body, like dizziness or heart palpitations or whatever it is, and then that creates fear, and then that fear creates more sensations, so you feel more heartbeat, more dizziness, more sweating, which creates more fear, then more sensation, more fear, more sensation, and you just go around and around and around in a circle, getting you really, really anxious and causing panic attack or an anxiety attack. And if you can kind of just be aware of that and know that it exists, it's a lot easier to kind of step out of it. But that's really one of the main things that causes panic attacks. It's getting stuck in that vicious cycle. So what causes panic attacks? It's a lot of different things. There's stress, there's genetics, there's evolution, and there's also that vicious cycle. I'm also going to make another video, and if you want to check that out, I'll explain how you can actually deal with these things and reduce panic attacks or just cut them out. This is James from Mind Unlimited. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.